to today's lesson. Students, this is LearnRite Integrated Science lesson. Today, we are continuing from where we left on animal production. Remember, we talk about reproduction in mammals. That before mammals can increase their species, there should be reproduction. That's the male and female sex cells should meet to form the zygote, leading to the formation of embryo, fetus, and baby. In the same vein, when you take farm animals, can you mention any one of them? Goats, sheep, cattle, pigs. They are all farm animals. They also have to increase their number through reproduction. When you take farm animals, they have two main ways by which they allow their farm animals to meet or to mate. Let me use the word to mate. So what is mating? So mating is the act of giving a male animal to a female animal purposely for reproduction. Remember the two methods that we discussed. We talk about hand mating, and then pasture mating. Hand mating and pasture mating. The hand mating, that is where the farm animals, that's the males and females, they are not allowed to be in the same pen or the same house. The males are separated from the females. And when the farmer realized that a female animal, it could be cow or any other female animal, is on heat, I'll come back to that word, on heat. Then that female animal that is on heat is given to the male animal, which has got some desirable characteristics to mate with the female, and all things being equal, it will result in fertilization. That is hand mating. But this is under the supervision of the farmer. And most of the time, the well-established farms, they have a room for that. Maybe room A, then room C, then we have room B. The females are kept in room A, then the males are also kept in room B. Sorry, room C. Then the room B will serve as the mating room. So when the female animal is on heat, after that I'll explain it, then it is sent to the room B. Then the farmer will take one of the male animals from room C and then send it to room B so that the act will take place. That is the hand mating. Then we come to the pasture mating. That is the natural one. Well, before that, what is pasture? Pasture is a piece of land cultivated with forages and legumes purposely to feed livestock. So you can have a mixture of centrosema and other grasses combined together or cultivated together. Then you release your farm animals to go and feed on it. That is pasture. Then add the mating, pasture mating. That's in the process of grazing, in the process of eating, feeding on the pasture. He says some of them will be having sex, but in farm animals, we use the word mating. So the natural mating that takes place on the pasture whilst they are grazing is known as the pasture mating. Now, apart from these two methods, which is common, every farmer can adopt. Assuming I've gone to Nigeria or Ejura farms, I have seen a male animal which has got some desirable characteristics. Let me pause and ask you a question. Yes. Whom do you want to marry? Hey, madam, I want to marry a man who is very thick and tall. Why do you want to marry such a man? Because I want that or those characteristics to be replicated in my children. That's good. So when you visit or when you go to anybody's farm, then you see a male animal that has got some desirable characteristics. Maybe it has the ability, if it's the bull, it has the ability to convert food to maybe to flesh and the like. And you want those qualities in that animal to be replicated on your farm. Look at the distance involved. Either from Nigeria or from Ejura to your farm site. Is there any other means of getting the animal onto your, of getting the sperm from the animal onto your farm, apart from bringing the real animal to your farm? You are saying, I don't really know. Yes, there's a way out. And that is known as the artificial insemination. That's the topic we are going to treat. The means by which we can get the sperm from somebody's farm to our farm to fertilize our farm female animals. Is what I'm going to talk about it today. That is artificial insemination. Artificial means what? Something that is not natural. We are using human device to do it. Then insemination, what does it mean? To spread, to broadcast something. So when you talk about artificial insemination, simply means the process by which the semen is collected from the male, that's the male farm animal, is deposited into the vagina of the female animal by artificial means to effect pregnancy or fertilization. It's the process by which the semen collected from the male animal from Ejura farms is deposited into the female genital organ, either the uterus or the vagina, by artificial means to effect pregnancy or fertilization. Let me take the definition, the key words one after the other. I made mention of semen. What is semen? What's the difference between semen and then sperm? The sperm is the male sex cells. Male sex cells. Male sex cells. What about the semen? What's the difference between semen and the sperm? The semen is the water, the special water that is produced by the pituitary gland and the like to nourish, to keep the sperms active and also nourish them into maturity. In other words, it's the semen that serve as water for them to swim. As we discussed in the reproduction in mammals, that as soon as they're deposited, they have to what? Swim. So they need something to enable them to swim, and that is known as the semen. So the semen is made up of that special water produced by the pituitary gland and the like, and then the sex cells produced by the male together form the semen. So when the semen is collected from that farm animal, then it is carefully deposited into the female genital organ when that female animal is on heat to effect pregnancy or fertilization. That is known as the artificial insemination. Now, how is it done? Artificial insemination. How is it done? One, we use male animal. As I've said, that you visited somebody's farm and then you have seen an animal, a male animal that has got some desirable characteristics. So in order to get the sperm from that animal, first of all, we have to get a teaser. A teaser. What is a teaser? One, you can use artificially prepared vagina. It is made of metal. Then you smear it with Vaseline. You can use that one. Then two, we can also use the oldest female, in terms of cattle, the oldest female cow. The cow is the adult female cattle. You can use the oldest, which is not possible for it to become pregnant. So you can use this. So the oldest female animal will serve as a teaser. Serve as a teaser. So how is it done? You allow the two to mate. So in the process of mating, when the farmer realizes that the male animal is about to ejaculate, what's the meaning of ejaculation? So the release of semen. Release of semen. So when the the male animal is about to ejaculate, then the penis is quickly withdrawn and then directed into the female, so the artificial prepared vagina, or a special container for the collection of the semen, so that after that it can be used for the insemination. So one, the teaser could be artificially prepared vagina. Then the teaser is just to arouse the sexual libido of the male animal. Other than that, it cannot ejaculate. Then two, I said you can use the oldest female animal, because if you use the one that is still in its reproductive stage, the tendency that the sperms can get into its genital organ, reproductive tract, is very, very high, and that could result in fertilization. So to avoid that, we use the oldest one, of which it is difficult for it to become pregnant. That is why we use the oldest female farm animal as the teaser, or the artificially prepared vagina. Now, the sperms or the semen has been collected. You have to keep it under low temperature. So normally we keep it in what? Nitrogen. So nitrogen has -196 degrees Celsius. Or you can keep it in fridge, not in deep freezer. If you keep it in deep freezer for it to freeze, the sperms, that is the life, the sex cells would die. So you keep it in fridge, low temperature. Now, you can increase the quantity of the semen, but not the sperms. Please, once again, you can increase the semen, that is the water surrounding them, the special water surrounding them that enables them to swim. You can increase the quantity by adding 1 coconut water. You all know coconut. So when you break it, the water, it is pure, free from impurities. So you can add it to increase the quantity of the semen. 2, we can also use an egg, but not the whole egg. You break it, then you take the albumen away. So to be precise, we use the yolk of the egg. You can also use to dilute, to increase the content of the semen. Apart from these 2, we can also add milk. So milk, if you've been taking milk every day, you can add milk to dilute it. Then in absence of these 3, you can also add glycerin, the glycerin that we add to our pumice. You can add it to dilute it. So when it comes to how to dilute it, these are the things or the materials or the substances that we can use for the dilution of the semen. Now we have diluted the semen. You have to keep it in fridge. Then when the farmer realized that some of the female animals are on heat, I'm not going to explain that word, are on heat, then the farmer used syringe or an instrument known as the inseminator. Inseminator is used to collect some, you know, syringe, its function. When you go to hospital and you want to receive injection, that tube, that's known as the syringe, is used to collect some of the semen from that container, and then it is used to deposit into the genital organ, either through the vagina or through the uterus of the female animal when it is on heat. Now, I said when the animal is on heat, that is the female animal. Now, what is an animal is on heat? What does it mean? What it means is that it's not all the time that a female animal is ready for mating, ready for servicing. But certain days within the month that it feels like being mated, being serviced, or having sex with the other males. That period where the female animal is ready for servicing, the edge is high for mating, is known as heat period. So, how can the farmer know that, oh, animal A is on heat, and therefore the insemination should be done? What are the signs of heat period in farm animals? Number 1, the vulva of the females becomes swollen, increase in size, then also becomes reddening. That is number 1. Number 2, there is white discharge through the vagina or the vulva. Number 2 or number 3, the temperature of the animal goes up a little bit. It is not sick. And as a good farmer, every day, the temperature of the animal should be taken. And where is the temperature taken? So, madam, through the mouth. If you put it in the mouth, the animal will take it, the thermometer as what? Food, and you'll crush it. Where? Armpit. Hey. No, it is taken through the anus. So you put or insert the thermometer through the anus. After that, you take the readings. That is another one. Then the next one is that there's an increase or enlargement of the udder. Udder, that is what? The breast. But in farm animals, we don't use the word breast, but you use udder. You see that the animals, or that female animal that is on heat, its udder increases in size. Then another one is that, which is obvious. You see that that female animal that is on heat is ready for mating, tries to mount on other animals, whether you are a male or female. It tries to mount on you, signifying that it is ready for mating. Next one, that animal that is on heat, that's the female animal, makes noise. They do make noise, but this one is unusual. Continuously making of the noise. It is one of the indications that it is ready for mating, ready for servicing without forcing it. Next one, it becomes excited, nervous, jumps here and there. So not until it is satisfied sexually, you continue to do that. It jumps here and there, becomes restless. So these are some of the signs of heat period. Now let's continue. So when the farmer realized that some of these signs are being shown or demonstrated by that farm, the female animal, then quickly the insemination is done. But remember, this requires special skills. So it cannot be done by ordinary person. We have some people that have been trained for that, so they can do that. So all things being equal, when that animal is on heat, then the insemination is done. The sperms are deposited through the genital, that is the vagina or the uterus. It could result in pregnancy or fertilization, and that is known as the artificial insemination. Now, why artificial insemination? Why? Importance of artificial insemination. One, it reduces wastage of sperms. I said it reduces wastage of sperms. If it's the normal one, that is the hand mating or the partial mating, at ejaculation in human, almost 500 to 5,000 sperms are released at ejaculation. So you can just imagine during that process, and it is only one or two, better still, let's say 5 of them, that could be what? Fertilized in the, that could be fertilized. The remaining, the uncountable sperms that are left, they become wasted. The body can make use of them once they are a form of protein, but that is not the purpose. But once you are using the artificial insemination, you can just take quantity, smaller quantity, with the instrument to deposit. So that the whole sperms that you've collected at, let's say, just one ejaculation, you can use to inseminate more than 200 female animals on your farm. And that is one of the major advantages of artificial insemination. The next one is that it helps to reduce or eliminate sexually transmitted diseases among farm animals. See, there are some diseases that occurs through sexual contact. So once the animals are not going to meet physically, their bodies are not going to come together. If that animal, that is the male or the female, has that disease, there's no way that could be transferred to that female animal. The next one, there are some animals, they have got some desirable characteristics, but only that they have problems with maybe their legs, and therefore they cannot withstand the act of what? The mating. So what you do is that you get the sperms from that the animal, then you deposit it into that female genital organ. So those characteristics could be replicated. Another important is that it is cheaper to transport the sperm in a smaller container from that farm to your site than to carry the whole animal. Look at the cost of transportation. It will not be easy. Even bringing the animal to the farm will not be easy. So it's cheaper in terms of transporting the animal as compared to that of the semen. Now, what are some of the disadvantages? Why is that people, farmers, especially in Ghana or Africa, they are not patronizing? One, it is capital intensive. You need the person who is going to do it. You have to pay the person more money before you can do it. Two, it requires technical know-how. You cannot just get up and say, oh, my animal is so and so, so I'm going to do insemination. Even how to detect that the animal is on heat, and therefore when the insemination is done, it's going to result in fertilization. It's a major problem. That is why most farmers are not using this method. The next one, or the next disadvantage, is that it can lead to inbreeding. It can lead to inbreeding. Okay. The next disadvantage is it can lead to inbreeding. What does it mean? Let's use human as an example. Father marrying to daughter, daughter marrying to father, or brother marrying to sister. That is what inbreeding. So what happens is that what makes it disadvantage is that if there's any disease in the family, it means that disease is going to be replicated from generation to generation. So in order to avoid that, you don't have to do that. So when the artificial insemination is practiced, there's the tendency that inbreeding can easily take place. The last disadvantage, it seems I've even mentioned that one, that how to detect the heat period, because the heat period is just specific time. So if it passes without the farmer noticing it, and then the insemination is done, there's no way that it can result in pregnancy. So these are some of the disadvantages of artificial insemination. Now today we talk about artificial insemination. It's one of the ways by which farmers can also make their animals, animals on the farm to multiply by collecting the semen and then depositing them into their female genital organ, purposely to effect pregnancy or fertilization. We've talked about the processes that we need a teaser to arouse the sexual libido or the interest of the male animal so that the sperms or ejaculation can take place. We also mentioned the materials or substances that we can use to dilute the semen to increase its quantity. How it could be kept so that the sperms will not die. We talk about the advantages, why we should patronize, farmers should patronize. We talk about them, and then the disadvantages, that it requires technical know-how. It involves capital. So these are some of them. Today, we have come to the end of the lesson. So students, in our next meeting, we go on excursion to either Edra Farms, Akati Farms, or KNUST to observe how the actual act is done. You can also find the notes, the explanation, the questions in New Approaches series. New Approaches for more or for further information. Thank you. I hope you have enjoyed the lesson, and in our next meeting, as I said, we'll be going for an excursion.